Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you also for all of the warm get well wishes that I got last week. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, so I didn't do a video. But this week we're going to talk about the volatility that will come with the election. What's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and how I'm going to react to it. So with that said, let's jump right into charts. We've missed a lot and let's see where we go. Okay. Whoop. All right. Okay, so let's start off by looking at ES weekly or SPX weekly futures. So last week, not a whole lot of movement. There's not a huge range here from the top of the weekly wick to the bottom of the wick. It is a lower high and a lower low. And then it looks like it closed the week ever so slightly lower than the previous week. And let's see if we can get any clues here. It's we're still above the ambulance support. We're also above that previous high at 3397.5. It's really a weekly close below that I think we'll see any sort of real downward movement in volatility. So right now it just looks like it's grinding out, and it's grinding out the people who potentially had hedges, knowing of course the election is coming up. So let's look at daily. So that grind actually is, even though it's sort of in a downward moving direction, it's sort of in the shape of a bull flag. It is in the shape of a bull flag, right? So we have the and we're pretty much close to the top right now. So I had said, I don't know if I said specifically for ES, but I would think it would be a very good sign for bulls if ES closes above the 3, and these dashed lines, by the way, are derived off of Eric's tweets, so I don't know. But anyway, it's 3483.14, so 3483. And then I put a little doctor's bag here at a previous triple top, not a top. I had to go way out to see that. So that was in my weekly chart as well. That was the previous high, right? And then we hit it twice here. And then, of course, the next time it goes above a triple top, not a top, it's going to go way more up. But anyway, same thing there. So it's, it's, I guess, not surprising that they're the same values, but any close below this doctor's bag, and I think we're going to get at least, I think, down to this finish line, at least, and potentially to this musical note, which would really, in the overall grand scheme of things, just probably look like a huger bull flag, right? So just because I am temporarily leaning towards a bearish bias doesn't mean that I wouldn't buy the crap out of some dip, actually, at least short term. Now, who knows whether or not it would get something would get higher than the previous high. I just still want that 3184 hourly gap that has never been filled to be filled on the futures chart. Okay, now let's look at Nasdaq. This is a weekly chart. I haven't ever shared it before via YouTube, and I did publish it last week on Twitter just because I was like, maybe I should do a little something. But if you look at this chart, this is Nasdaq weekly. Okay, you can see that this is a pretty bullish looking chart. I mean, it's up for quite some time, for a huge amount of time, right? And it broke out of this upward channel to go upwards, and then it broke again upwards, and then it broke again upwards. And really, the reason I've been leaning sort of more towards a bearish stance as of yet isn't really that this chart looks incredibly bearish. It in fact does not. But just because over time here, it's very likely that if something breaks up out of the upward channel, it comes back and tests the channel that it broke out of at least once, right? So it broke out, came back and tested it, even went 2 levels down that time, broke up. I think it's got to come back and test this. Now, does it have to come back and test it right away? No, it can absolutely go higher. It's just that I personally think that it's a very high likelihood that it will, sooner rather than later. And that's just my personal bias. So, and also some of you are like, hey, Cordova, I'm concerned about you. And it's like in a nice, loving way, you know, that we disagree on potentially the direction, but instead of just being like, Cordova, you don't know what you're talking about, they're just like, I'm concerned about you. Don't worry about me, guys. Like, I know, I think I know what I'm doing most of the time. And I've posted some pretty good trades on Twitter, so you could probably tell. But anyway, it's okay. So let's look at the daily chart here. Look how, I was looking at this earlier, look how computer generated. I mean, it is, right? It is computer generated, but look how artificial that looks. That doesn't look like any sort of volatility. That just looks like a slow grind down. And I was also thinking about it, and wouldn't that be the most torturous thing for both sides, is just a slow grind? I don't know that it'll happen, because typically there is volatility in the election, or, you know, in the election weeks. But right now, we're still above the rocket line. And I mean, really, this is not going to look super bearish, to me at least. I am bearish, but it's not going to look bearish until it closes below this robot line, because the robot line is the line that's gotten defended here, right? This to me, a lot of people drew, and this is an inverse head and shoulders, and this kept being the top of the shoulder, right? Pretty much. So I think a close below this robot line on my chart is going to take us, I think, down to this gift line. And I don't know, I never know where to put the markers, so I'll just update it real time in Twitter, but that's what I'm looking for. Now, it can also, of course, zoom up in case of stimulus or anything else. But if that were to happen before the election, I'm going to short the mofo bejesus out of it. Okay? Yeah, I am. So if a spike happens, it will just add to my short. If a spike doesn't happen, then very surprisingly, I might shock some people. And turn intermittently bullish. But it doesn't, and also, just so you know, and this is my hourly chart for Nasdaq, just because I have a bearish bias doesn't mean I am not actually scalping upwards at the same time. It's just that I just think the general direction is down for now, and I will flip on a dime if I think otherwise. Anyway, I did draw this in. So this is the hourly chart. This is the sort of the downward channel I was looking at. I saw a break upwards here, and then I was thinking, okay, as soon as it closes below this, you know, this well-defended support, I thought it would go down. I thought it would just free fall down here. But that was incorrect. And in fact, at the end of the day, last couple hours of the day, we had a big green candle take us up. But I didn't draw this squiggle. Like, if I had just thought it was a false breakout, the squiggle would have only had like one little thing and then been down. Because this is not because of the length of this channel and because of the height of this breakout, I actually thought that there might be a chance for another false breakout before going back down. So that's why I drew multiple squiggles here. However, I am still short, and let's see how far this squiggle can go. I'm going to get more concerned if we get up close to this, above actually, 11,778. I'll get much more concerned. But right now, it just looks like it's, I mean, I don't know. You don't want to ever bet on a false breakout, but also, you can see that there is potentially some very slight bullish divergence here from this point in the hourly to here. So we'll have to watch it, but for now, I'm still, because we did get that close, I just believe it'll happen again. So anyway, if it does again close underneath this 11,602 line, I do believe the next level of support, at least on the hourly, is 11,222 or so. Okay, and just to see where that goes. Look at this beautiful head and shoulders that never actually amounted to anything, right? So these things, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, that's a severe level, that's a big level of support. So we'll look there and see what happens. Okay, now let's talk about DXY, or the dollar. So the last time I did one of these videos, I had talked about the fact that it really needed to turn around. I'll make this big. Oh, wow, like this is a lot of activity. Okay, I talked about the fact that if it was going to turn around, it really needed to turn around very quickly after this candle here. And it did actually, and it broke out, but then not so much. And then it went back down actually to this original line of support, which also happened to be RSI support that was already also drawn in. So at this point, it really just needs to hold this RSI support and this line. Okay, I'm gonna put that a little better. Which on Sunday night / Monday will be 92.58. And if it doesn't hold there, then, you know, part of the way that I chart is by channels. And so, you know, this green line here is the same slope as what I drew in here that held the bottom of that wedge for a long time. The pink line is the same slope that held the top of the wedge for the same time. So if it does get below this slope here, what I will do is I will draw in this slope and put it here, and that will sort of, in my opinion, be the last chance, other than a double bottom here, but I still wouldn't want to close below the pink slope. That would be the last chance. But anyway, because I am still looking for a dip in precious metals, which we'll talk about here, I do expect, or not expect, I do think that it's not out of the realm of possibilities. How's that for a non-douchey way to say that I think it'll happen? But I do believe that it'll go back, and DXY will go back and test this. I almost called it a bikini instead of a martini. That's weird. Anyway, I do believe it'll come back and test this line. We'll see. We'll see. I could be absolutely very wrong, and a lot of that will depend on how well this line of support holds. Okay. So gold. Gold, really just an inside candle last week. Not a lot to talk about here, just more consolidation. If you're a gold bull, scaling in here is definitely, you know, an option. But I, as a silver bull, am still waiting. We also had an inside candle on the weekly here. I am still very selfishly waiting because I was able to get rid of my position so close to the top here. I don't care if I wait until it looks more bullish. What I don't want, selfishly as a trader, not an investor, but as a trader, what I don't want to just do is tie up my money in consolidation, right? If I tied up if I had just held here, I would still be okay. But I mean, this consolidation this is weekly, guys. It's like done nothing. And so I just prefer as a trader to have my money in something that's not consolidating. That doesn't mean I don't take a position during the consolidation, at least at a single scale, and I do have a single scale left, but for me, I'm just waiting for a little bit more of a dip. We'll see if it happens. Okay, this is natural gas. Look how ugly this chart is. So I'm just gonna do something weird, and I'm gonna take away all these lines. So I did buy one scale of Natty just because I got the FOMO. I got the FOMO, and I just didn't want to be without it because ultimately I'm super bullish for it. Now, Natty is like it's like a wild thing. But let's look. Does this look at all? I mean, you could probably draw in a wedge here with your eyeballs if you really wanted to, but has Netty ever behaved itself? No. So I actually think that it's very possible. This is a higher high over the most recent high way back when, last year. We got to a higher high this year, and it's not really even the middle of winter yet, right? It's not even close. I mean, I'm in Florida. I don't feel anything, but like, yeah, I mean, I think it's got huge potential, and I'm looking for it to go back up, potentially over here eventually. But anyway, there is some maybe some divergence happening here. And so if that is the case, from here to here, or from, yeah, if that is the case, I'm going to buy the F out of any dip. I'm going to add my next 2 scales if it dips at all this week. I am. So, and I'll talk about that on Twitter because it's courageous, right? It's a little dumb. It's a little dumb, but that's what I'm doing because I'm very bullish. Still very bullish. Natty and silver and coffee. It's just that you have to manage the bullishness depending on what's happening. Okay. So let's look at coffee. With that said, this is also a weekly chart of Joe, and even though it's a lower low and a lower high, and I am 1 scale in on Joe and I'm down on it, I'm still okay with that. I'm really only going to be I'm really only going to stop out of my scale if we get below this week's low, which is 30.66, and you know, right now we're at 31.91, so we'll have to see whether that happens. But overall, I'm still very bullish on coffee, but I am waiting to add my next 2 scales until we have some sort of breakout. This is weekly, so I'm going to look at the daily as well. But right now, you know, we're flat these, you know, 20 and 50 MAs. It's not really going down. We're going down on the 9, but that can change, right? And the 9 actually hitting the 20 MA might give it some support. It hasn't crossed it yet. It might give it some support. So let's see. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you so much again for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. Oh, I have to make myself big. Sorry. Thank you again for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. Wallaby is taking a bath in front of everybody. W, stop. He's so cute. I love him so much. All right, anyway, thank you again, and I will see you around the interwebs. Okay, bye.